Hollywood has been on the backslide for years now, and it only seems to be getting worse post-COVID. Unlike many others, I don't feel that Tinseltown is beyond help, so with the new year upon us, I have made a comprehensive list of the top 5 things that Hollywood needs to unfuck in the year of our Lord 2024. Now, will these narcissistic testicular tumors choose to apply any of these New Year's resolutions?
Next time on Dragon Ball Z.
Frankly, you're better off expecting an Andrew Tate stan to outgrow their autism, but you can't fault the guy for trying. So as we wave goodbye to 2023 and saunter over to the bar to introduce ourselves to 2024, let us roll out Hollywood's New Year's resolutions for the year in question, beginning with...
Pull back on your damn budgets.
Look, I'm aware that movies are generally expensive to produce, especially nowadays with inflation bending everyone over the counter and blasting our collective keisters into the stratosphere, but between virtually every movie having the framing and lighting of a Snickers ad and CGI that makes Reboot look like Tintin, I've seen better financial acumen watching a toddler shove fistfuls of pennies down his Paw Patrol underoos. Look, I get that you guys want to maximize profits, and with the assumption being that the higher the budget is, the higher the quality will be and the bigger the return on investments will be. But when you're Disney, dropping 8 major movies into theaters within a single calendar year with the cheapest one turning in a budget of $150 million, and only 1 out of 8 turns a profit, shit sucks, yo. Especially when a $14.5 million independent thriller about human trafficking from a Christian studio was outperforming your $300 million Indiana Jones film. And that's just what Bob Iger spent on hookers and blow. The problem with having budgets so astronomically high is that the higher the money climbs, the more pressure is applied to the creative side of filmmaking, thus putting money men in charge of decisions they are in no way mentally equipped to deal with, leading to the cinematic equivalent of the Dunning-Kruger effect. Conversely, the smaller a film's budget is, the less pressure placed on the creatives and the more creative they have to be to make the movie as good as it can possibly be. So dial back your budgets and let the creatives get creative. That and maybe don't reshoot your entire fucking movie because the chicklet brains who occupy your test audience wouldn't know a quality film from a gargantuan goat fuck. Next!
No more cinematic universes, please.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe was ambitious as all hell when it first launched in 2008. A franchise consisting of multiple series that would occasionally intersect, it must have taken a lot of time and a lot of blowing the studio executives to get off the ground because God knows asking studio execs to take risks is like asking Hassan Piker to have an intelligent thought. Since the MCU popped off, every studio under the sun has been trying to establish their own equivalent with sequels and spin-offs of the yin-yang. DC had the beginnings of something grand, but was ultimately undone by corporate discognizance. And while James Gunn hitting the reset button might be the best thing to happen to DC, Mad Max and Fast and Furious need spin-offs like Keanu Reeves needs a razor. Like I said in the previous point, I understand the corporate desire to maximize profits, but the problem with cranking out sequel after sequel and spin-off after spin-off is that you ultimately harm the competition and convince young viewers that this is how the industry is supposed to be. Anybody else remember the roaring plains of apathy we all fell into during the pre-COVID years of Disney monopolizing the box office? Oh, there were good movies that came out during that period for a fact, but God knows how many of them were overshadowed by the leaning tower of myth that is modern Disney. Thankfully, audiences are speaking with their wallets, but Hollywood's onerous over-reliance on pre-existing brands has been building so heavily since the 1980s that it's likely going to take years for you all to unfuck yourselves, but you can do it. Daddy Chris believes in you. Next.
Fire everyone who works for Disney.
Every single person. I don't give a fuck if they're a temp or Bob Iger's fluffer. The House of Mouse has become so rotten from the inside that the only possible way they can have any chance in the future is to purge the company ranks from top to bottom. And speaking of Iger, he gotta go too, sans a severance bonus and with the addition of a permanent spot on the blacklist. None of this corpo crap where he gets a golden parachute to settle down under after allowing the cancer of social activism to turn Walt Disney's dream into a Lovecraftian nightmare. Kick this clown to the curb with nothing but the clothes on his back and let him wander aimlessly around Skid Row for the rest of his natural life. Next!
Drop the damn egos.
Oxford Languages defines echo chamber as an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs or opinions that coincide with their own, so that their existing views are reinforced and alternative ideas are not considered. Ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood lives in one gargantuan echo chamber. I know this isn't exactly earth-shattering information given the recent influx of filmmakers and actors who feel compelled to lash out at the movie-going public every time one of their shit products is met with the unbridled allure of Kevin Spacey coaching a boys' basketball team. Look, I get it. You sank untold titloads of time and money and energy and blood, sweat, and tears into making a movie. No doubt you look at the project as your baby and as such feel compelled to defend it against any and all naysayers, but that's the problem, isn't it? Look, creatives are a neurotic bunch. We're all narcissists to one degree or another, and while social media has done a lot of good for society, I would argue that it has also done substantially more bad. From giving the village idiots a platform to delude themselves into thinking they could ever come close to being famous, to shamelessly providing digital echo chambers for our resident scumbags, to discourse surrounding movies and video games devolving into 10-year-olds trapped in 30-year-old bodies, calling each other doo-doo heads and giving each other wedgies. But perhaps most egregious of all, yes, worse than some has been with 1 or 2 Oscars or even Oscar nominations under his belt, who gets paid to play pretend for a living, deluding himself into thinking anyone with an IQ north of their shoe size gives an ounce of a shit about his opinion regarding politics and social issues.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Is the recent trend of creatives sabotaging their own careers by pointing the finger and labeling the paying audience every ist, ism, and phobic under the sun for justifiably referring to a too expensive, longer than necessary ego stroke as a too expensive, longer than necessary ego stroke. And speaking of ego strokes, isn't it about time we passed a national edict forbidding studio executives from blaming everything but their own hubris for a movie failing to connect with the audience? After Weinstein went down, I naively hoped that the industry would learn from his example of not stuffing an executive nose where it doesn't belong, mainly in the editing booth or on the set of the movie itself. But because the MCU is a multi-billion-dollar franchise where directors serve as glorified DPs, and every one of these movies might as well just credit Kevin Feige as director because the franchise operates under his direction, of course we can't give creative control to the people who are literally paid to fucking create. Bob Iger could jam his crank into the mouth of a rabid pit bull with his whole "our recent movies have failed because of a lack of executive oversight" shitload.
Bullshit!
Because executive overreach never results in a movie losing money or the studio releasing an inferior product compared to what the director initially planned, right? Right? Look, you can blame everything under the sun for a movie's failings all you want, but at the end of the day, if you overstep your executive bounds, if you take creative control away from the creatives, if you mandate reshoots to accommodate the complaints levied from a focus group whose collective IQ can be measured in nanometers, if you mandate certain casting and writing decisions, not because doing so would result in an objectively superior film, but to boost something as utterly meaningless as your ESG score, that is your fuck up, so drop the ego and own it. And since I brought it up,
Drop the ESG.
ESG, or Environmental, Social, and Corporate Governance, a set of considerations utilized by investment firms to determine who they wish to do business with, from a company's carbon footprint to political and charitable activism to diversity in employment to its management structure and said management's relationship with their employees. So the story goes, the greater your ESG score is, the greater the chances are of these firms working with you, which sounds great in theory, right up until the second you realize that your ESG score amounts to our participation trophy and the concept is just affirmative action with a fresh coat of paint and is every bit as anti-business and anti-consumer. Now take a close look at the word diversity. What has Hollywood been pushing for to an insufferable degree lately? What has Hollywood recently placed on a pedestal in place of fiscal responsibility in movies that are actually fucking watchable? What has Hollywood constantly paraded around as the be-all, end-all reason to watch their laughably mid-movies for the past half-decade and change? And before some asshat calls me every ism, and phobic in the comments, stop.
Have a time.
Have a cigarette and a poop. Exhale. And listen. I have no problem whatsoever with diversity. Race, gender, sexual orientation, it don't mean dick to me. As long as they're the right actor for the job, you can taste the rainbow for all I care. But when I'm watching your cast and crew fumble their way through a half-hearted press junket where they can scarcely tell the viewing public one thing about the movie's plot, yet consistently dislocate their own shoulders from patting themselves on the back for having a casting director whose previous gig was working the advertising department for McDonald's, no doubt because they're being ordered to by a boardroom of shareholders that are whiter than my underwear drawer, Galactus-sized red flags are shooting up like Zack Snyder's rocket dongs in Man of Steel. And to piggyback off of number 2, no, diversity is not the reason so many of your movies are now going up like Fukushima. Rather, it's the infuriating push for diversity coupled with incessantly gaslighting your audience for pointing out that you're more concerned about an arbitrary social credit rating than you are with making a movie people actually want to see. It was one thing when Michael Clarke Duncan was cast as the Kingpin in Daredevil 03. He had a physically imposing screen presence and the voice to match, both of which fit in perfectly with Wilson Fisk's character. And nobody batted an eyelash when Sam Jackson was cast as Nick Fury in the MCU because it's Sam motherfucking Jackson. Hell, even with original productions. In my favorite television drama of all time, FX's The Shield, the character of Claudette Wims was originally supposed to be a male detective named Charlie before series creator Sean Ryan took the suggestion that he change Charlie into Claudette and ran with it, and she wound up being one of the best characters on the show. But to brazenly race swap and gender swap beloved characters, to emasculate men while propping up women in the worst ways possible, to focus so heavily on race and gender and sexual orientation, then pay off your glorified interns in the press to run headline after headline gaslighting the audience, is to invite further financial failure. I'm sure that ESG rating will look really nice pinned to your breast, but it means precisely fuck all with a side of nada when the only place you end up having in Hollywood is shuffling down the line at the local soup kitchen. That or being George Soros' fluffer.